Team C. Esther, Prisca, and I are delighted to participate in the 2017 edition of the CF Ethics Challenge. For presentation, we will commence for each of the 4 cases. We will commence with a short introduction. Then for each of the 4 cases, we will identify the ethical issues violated, to whom the duty of care is owed to, the specific ethical breaches, and then give our recommendations and courses of actions. We'll later receive questions from you, judges. In our analysis of the 4 cases, we were highly guided by the 2014 edition of the CFA Codes of Ethics and Standards of Professional Conduct. Case 1 opens up with an interesting scenario. Here we get John Mwanga, who is a CFA Level 2 candidate and a research analyst at Flex, attending a research analyst meeting organized by Wilka Travel and Logistics Company in Mombasa, where we learned that all his travel and accommodation expenses were catered for by Flex. Later on, he issues a favorable recommendation concerning Wilka stock, and based on this recommendation, most investors buy Wilka stock. However, a month later, Wilka announces poor results, resulting in 25% loss or decrease in Wilka stock prices. Now, this brings out a major issue or a major ethical question. We ask ourselves, was John really diligent and thorough enough in coming up with these recommendations? Or was the luxurious treatment he was given by Wilka Transport and Logistics Company, did that treatment interfere or compromise his recommendations? When we go to the ethical issues, we found out that by John, first of all, accepting Wilka's luxurious treatment, which beyond any degree of doubt, messed up with the recommendation. He issued a wrong recommendation. By doing that, we found that John violated standard 1B on professionalism, specifically independence and objectivity. Also, by John issuing this favorable report concerning Wilka's stock, which brought losses to the investors who followed this recommendation, we found out that standard 5 on investment analysis, recommendation and action was breached. We see this clearly because we don't see John exercising diligence and having any reasonable basis for issuing that favorable recommendation. And by doing so, and by accepting also those gifts and luxurious treatment, we found out that John failed to practice and encourage other investment professionals and analysts who went to the meeting to practice in an ethical and professional manner as a CFA candidate. The duty of care is owed by John and Flex to all their clients and the investment society as a whole. I will welcome Prisca to take us through the specific ethical breaches and the recommendations.
The 3 major ethical breaches that arise from this case are: 1, independence. This can be seen the moment John issues a recommendation based on Wilka's treatment. 2, we have integrity. The moment John accepts Wilka's treatment, his moral principle is left to question. And on diligence, it's very clear that neither John nor Kathleen practiced diligence, which led to poor performance in their results. We recommended that Flex should set policies on research methodology, employees' acceptance on gifts, and also conduct education training on ethics, and finally they should hire an employee who should oversee and supervise employees' ethical behavior. Akaka will introduce us to case 2.
Okay. In case 2, we found it opens up with Flex research analyst Nuru Aden meeting with Valley Cements Limited CFO. And from the conversation, we learned that previously Flex had low sales volume and a very high debt level, which impacted negatively on its balance sheet. Thereby, Flex had previously issued a sale recommendation. However, we learned that Falia won 2 government tenders, which will account for 35% of the firm's total revenue. As per the timelines of the case, this information was still non-public and material. However, after Nuru factoring this information in evaluation, Fali's stock doubled, and she wanted to issue a strong buy recommendation. She wanted to issue a strong. I'm sorry, though. She wanted to issue a strong buy recommendation to the portfolio manager. When we come to the ethical issues violated, we found that it was wrong and in breach of standard 2A on material and public information for Kathleen Mumba, that is the CEO, to allow and induce Nuru to use material and public information to calculate Fali Cement's limited valuation, share value, and even come up with new recommendations. And in doing so, she failed to practice and encourage others to practice. She failed to encourage she failed to practice and encourage Nuru, who is not a CFA member, to practice in an ethical and professional manner. She also did not place the integrity of the capital markets and the profession of the capital markets and the investment profession above her own company's interests. The duty of care is owned by Kathleen Mumba, who is a CFA member, to the Capital Markets Authority, to the capital markets. I will welcome Esther to take us through the CEO's advice and specific ethical breaches.
Moving on to what should the CEO advise? The CEO should advise Nuru not to use the material and public information in doing her valuation, and also she should not share the information with the portfolio manager, Juma, until when Fahali Cement will make the information public. Moving on to the ethical breaches. By Caitlin allowing Nuru to use the material and public information, she compromised the integrity of the capital market. She was also incompetent and did not exercise diligence. Moving on to the remedial course of action, Flex should adopt compliance and disclosure procedures. There should be regular training on ethics to the employees. We now move on to case 3.
Case 3 open ups with John Mwanga, a CFA level 2 candidate. From their conversation, chit chat lunch with Nuru Aden, we get to know that John Mwanga is to leave for Orenex Capital in the next 3 months, where he's been promised to be fast-tracked into a junior portfolio manager. However, while at Orenex, John shared the employer's investment strategy John shared the employer's confidential information with the competitor. And he is also asking Nuru to share with him the marketing materials from Flex, and Nuru has agreed to that. By John sharing Flex confidential information with a competitor, he violates standard 4A, duties to employer loyalty. And both John and Nuru also violate standard 1D, professionalism misconduct, when Nuru accepts to give John the information, and also John requesting Nuru to keep silent about the information that he is to leave for Orenex Capital in the next 3 months. The code of ethics being violated are 1, John as a CFA level 2 candidate fails to practice and encourage Nuru to practice in a professional manner. They both failed to maintain and improve the professional competence of Flex Investment, and finally they act in an ethical manner with their employer. The duty of care is owed to the employer and the CFA Institute. The ethical breaches were misconduct, mistrust, and professionalism. This can be seen when they both act in a professional manner with their employer's information. Sonia will introduce us to the next case.
Moving on to case 4, we get to see that Caitlin, the CEO of Flex Investment, has a meeting with the chairman of Teachers Endowment Fund. From the conversation, we see that they had some requests, like they wanted to be trained on a regular basis, and also they wanted to be given first priority over the other clients when a recommendation is made for any suitable stock. On to the ethical issues, we see that standard 3B, that is duties to clients in fair dealing, is compromised, and also to the code of ethics, that is to act with integrity and also to maintain and improve their professional competencies, also violated. On to the duty of care. The duty of care is owed to all their clients.
Okay, let me just go fast. On case 2, I'm more specifically interested on the duty of care. Can you just go back and who is owed the duty of care in case 2?
The duty of care is owed to the capital markets. And this can, okay, the investment profession as a whole has standards. And when we look at case 2, we found out that material and public information was used to do valuation before that information was made public. So when we were going through the case, to come out with the conclusion that the capital market is one of the members that the duty of care is owed to, we get that when you read standard 2A, you'll find out that if material and public information is used, in some way it will make market participants to assume that the market is rigged to favor some particular people in the market. And this, at the end of it all, will bring some very bad effects to the market. It will make people avoid the investment market because they'll think that it's rigged to favor certain people. So in the long run, a duty of care is also owed to the capital markets and the efficiency and fair running of the capital markets.
So is there any duty of care owed to the CFA Institute?
Yes.
Please, can you elaborate?
Ms. Kathleen Mumba is a CFA member, and as a CFA charter holder, there are some things that she's bound, when it comes to investment, she's bound by the CFA codes of ethics and standards of professional conduct. And she's supposed to uphold those standards and codes as a member of the CFA, society. Therefore, when it comes to case 2, we found that she owes a duty of care to the CFA society as well because it's the charter giver to her.
I think on that same case, I think you mentioned that what should happen is that the valuation should be completed without taking into account that new piece of information about the 2 contracts. If you were to do that, would that be fair on your existing clients if you released a report on that basis?
Okay, if I may clarify what we said about case 2 and if read case 2, we will find out that after Nuru Eden, knowing this information, she went and consulted the CEO. Then she said she's going to do some more to dig up. Then the CEO says, okay, you go do that, then get back to me. From our end, we found out that it was wrong and in breach for Kathleen Mumba, the CEO, to even allow Nuru to go and work on that information before it was made public by Fahali Cement Limited. And answering your question, yes, it will be wrong for that information to be used because we are not told if other analysts know that, so it will give undue advantage to Flex Limited over the other fund management firms. Thank you.
I have a few questions. Now, on the second case, that's the case for Fahali. If the recommendation had been given based on the material and public information, but then the share price goes down and not up, or it stagnates, is there still a violation?
Yes, there's still a violation. The code and the law, the code and the standards are very clear. All members and candidates are discouraged, highly discouraged from using material and public information, whatever the way it goes. So it still applies. Material and public information should not be used.
Okay. On the first case on John, if John instead had given a recommendation to sell, is there still a breach there? If he'd given a recommendation to sell, his clients had sold and therefore had not gotten a loss from the stock.
again, if I may answer your question, for John, yes, okay. What matters in that case is if the independence and objectivity was, if his independence and objectivity was compromised by his acceptance of the luxurious treatment by Wilkes Travel and Logistic Company. So I don't think that's an issue. It becomes an issue if we are told his independence and objectivity was compromised.
So in the case he still gives a sell recommendation, is his independence and objectivity compromised? That's my question.
Okay, my friend will take that.
Yes, it is, because we are told and they are specific that John gives a favorable recommendation.
Yes, but my question is, had he given a recommendation to sell, not to buy? Is his independence and objectivity still compromised?
Yeah, the independence and objectivity is still compromised.
If I may clarify your point, the law on independence and objectivity is clear. This is what it says. It says members and candidates must not offer, solicit any compensation, considerations, or benefits that will somehow interfere with the independence and objectivity. So it depends. Okay, by accepting the gifts, by accepting the luxurious treatment, it puts John in a fix, and that fix is what the CFA Institute wanted to avoid by issuing those guidelines in the codes. Yeah, thank you.
I'm getting the impression that you're saying that if John was such a strong personality that his independence and objectivity was not at all compromised, and it could be proved that it was not compromised, then it's okay to accept the extravagance and travel and 4-star hotels, 5-star hotels. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not okay for John to accept the gifts, because we are told by the Code of Ethics that the expenses should be catered for by the company. So it's not okay for John to accept the gifts.
And exactly what standard or code says that?
That's on standard.
From the research that we did on standard 1A, that is for independence and objectivity, on the travel funding, we get to see that when a client gives you gifts, you are supposed, let's say if it's a travel funding, you are supposed to, if you are to accept the gift, you are supposed to inform your company, and also if you can manage, you can buy the ticket and inform the company afterwards.
If I may clarify the matter more, the code is very clear. It says clients. Wilka here is not a client of Flex. Wilka is just a company that has called analyst to it. So if a client says maybe you have done some good work for them and they want to give you some gifts, that under the code is acceptable only if and only if it is disclosed to the management early enough so that it may be taken as part of your payment and considerations. Thank you.
Moving on to case 3. Just kindly take us through again the recommendations you would give as a solution to the circumstances we've got here.
Okay, in case 3, we recommended that Flex should set rules and regulations that all their employers should abide by. The rules and the regulations that we were recommending Flex to set were on confidential firm information, so that whenever an employer is to leave, he wants to or she wants to share the information, he should seek the consent from the current employer before going to another employer. In as much as he did the research himself or herself, the work are not his or hers. He should first seek the consent of the current employer. Then going to maintain confidentiality, we recommend that in as much as you are an employee and you have the access to the firm's information, you are not allowed to share them with anyone, more so in this case, a competitor. Then on code of ethics, it is very recommendable for each and every company to adopt code of ethics to be guiding them in their investment profession. Then dissociation policy, we recommended that Nuru should dissociate herself from whatever John Mwanga is requesting, that he share the information of the employer. Then Orenex Capital should be summoned by the Capital Markets Authority. And we also say that Flex should set communication policy to be followed by the employees.
Thank you. Now, suppose Nuru goes ahead, or do you think Nuru should go ahead and report to the boss that she knows John is leaving?
Yeah, he should do that.
Why?
Because it's not okay for John to, because you see, when John tells Nuru to keep silent about the information that he is to leave for Orenex Capital, silent, it means that it's not a good thing. Maybe he didn't follow the right communication channel, because you find that there is a way in which someone should make a communication while leaving a company. It's either maybe through the media or whatever rules that the company has put. So when we get to know that he is advising Nuru to keep the information secret about him leaving Flex, there is something they are not telling us, so it's not okay, and Nuru should go ahead and report him.